everybody, Geraldine Rose here. I'm casing Angelique's card at her request. First off, let's give a shout out to Angelique. She's the last one to do the weekend takeover at the Altenew Fan Group on Facebook. Head over there because she's doing a giveaway there. I'm doing a giveaway here for my subscribers, so stay tuned to the end or check out the description box below on what you need to do for that. Angelique is part of the educator program. I am too. I put mine on hold for a while last year because of some health issues, which is also why I early retired out. It's time for me to finish it out. And she very kindly kept asking me to be a part of her weekend. I thought she should get all that moment in the sun for herself, but she kept asking. And so I finally gave. And thank you, Angelique. She sent over a card for me to case. And we thought it'd be kind of funny if I Geraldined it up, if I mixed media it up to see how far I could push it without pushing it over. You can see I started out with some cardstock, some yellow and some pink. I put my alcohol inks in a little bit of water. They will disperse across the top, and it's very similar to when you put nail polish in water, that it causes like a water resist sort of effect, and it will marble your cardstock as you dip it in. You can actually do that with your nail polish too. I did that with those, and I set them aside to dry a little bit, and then I splattered them with some shimmer spray and some mica spray and some solar spray, and again set them aside to dry. In the meantime, I brought out 3 panels. 2 are Nina Classic Crest Solar White. 1 is Canson XL watercolor paper. The 2 Nina, I'm going to use the dull matte embossing powder on with the Simon Says stamp, the old letter cling stamp with the scripty letter, which is similar to what Angelique had on hers. And the watercolor one, I'm going to use a glossy one. And what I'm going to try and do is create a depth through there that the farthest away panel is going to be very light. And then the middle one is going to have like mid-tones. And the one that's closest to you is going to have the brightest and the clearest hues, the way that it would when you're looking at something perspective-wise out through the distance, right? You can see that I'm distressing them. I did use some oxide inks on this. Put them down after you put your fresh dye inks or whatever inks that you're using, because they will not mix well with your brushes. And that's the other thing. You did notice that I've got a separate set of brushes for the oxide inks versus the fresh dye inks. I also roughed up the edges with the scissors. I don't have one of those round distressing tools, but scissors work just fine on it. And it's to give it that whole image that we have for scrolls and old letters that have gotten all banged up in the drawers and stuff, right? And aged with the browning around them. And so I've put different types of splatter. I am using really fine splatters for the back ones because as things go farther away, they get smaller, except if you're doing something like bokeh, and that one, it fuzzes out. I've got a lighter gold that I'm using, and I put the white down, and you can see I mixed some of the shimmer paste with a little bit of pink, and I'm splattering that on. And for the front watercolor panel, I used a brighter gold and the mica ink for it. So those are now, they've been put aside to dry, and once they were dry, what I'm doing is I'm running them through my cutting panels with my big shot facing down, because I want them to get all those kind of grungy grooves that those old panels have on them. And yes, I did have to take them to the sink and give them a good brush and clean them up afterwards, but it did put a really nice impression across all of that paper, as well as flattening it out. Now, I've also cut out my sentiment. I didn't have the Sending Love that Angelique had, but I do have Love You. I've cut multiple layers of that out. I've stacked up 3 here. And what I've done is I've taken an alcohol marker and I've gone across the bottom, and then I've taken the Zero Blender and I've caused it to bleed out. Let it dry a bit, and then used Versamark, and I am using an ultra thick embossing powder on that, putting it aside. For the shadow, I started out with the brown around the edges because Angelique has got that too. But there wasn't enough contrast, so now I'm coming in and I'm stippling, I'm dabbing, like tap, 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 tap with the end of the brush to kind of get little marks to see if I like it better. And I'm like, okay, that's heading in the direction I want it. I'm checking it again, seeing how it looks. I did end up doing some water splats on this as well. And then I also gave it a shot of mica, no, not mica, solar spray over the top. There's the water. I love distressing inks. It's so fun. I swear I get into so many messes because it's just great to play with your supplies. And then, oh, what this does that. And, it's seeing how far you can push it without, as I say, pushing it over. And then I get myself into a catastrophe and then I have to figure a way out. Anyway, I'm scooching back over to the cardstock that we had. We had that really light pink one amid and then the yellow. And what was left over, I cut my flowers out. So I have two of my favorite small little dies. They're both a keyhole method from Altenew, the Petite Mountain Avon and the Cute Open Rose. And I'm doing 3 because we do like triads in our compositions, right? Strategically placed them so that I would get the little spots on there. And once they're cut out, I have taken my detail brush and I brought some yellow in on the middle part, and I got the brush a little bit to the side so that it will cause like little veining, because most flowers, when you look, have got either a white veining or like a yellow veining on the inside. I also used that ball tool to give them a little bit of roundness. For the hearts, I had the Prism nesting hearts. I didn't have a really big heart die cut like Angelique did, so I compensated. And I'm using, that was the Casual Bouquet. And I'm using the brown again to, because there was no black on her card anywhere from what I can remember. And stamp down the flower first, and then I'm running it through with the embossing folder. And there's 2 stamps out of there that work with the embossing folder, so you've got to check and make certain you've got the right ones. Luckily, it also has a stencil set. So you can see I've got it set down, and I'm using the yellows, the pinks, and again, the browns. And I typically will try having those inks displayed for you so that you can see which ones I was using. The preview image that I'm looking at is very small and I can't remember what I've done, so it's really hard for me to say, oh, I used Toasted Mauve. Anyway, the panels, I have kind of placed them that they look like they're letters that have gotten a little scrambled, a little mussed up on the kitchen counter or in the drawer, because of course these are very old love letters. And so I've glued them together just in the middle, and I'm taking that Canson XL watercolor on the front and further distressing it. I'm ripping it open in the middle as if it's gotten torn, and I'm rolling it. And I like that because it's kind of got like the bottom of a heart shape when you think about it. And got out the old sewing machine. Hey, don't judge it. It used to sew my horse blankets. That's why it makes so much noise. That was cutting out the little pistils and the stamens from some of the Altenew glitter cardstock. Now we are starting to assemble the rest of the inside of the flowers. These ones are all like little hourglass shapes, but it's super easy. You just, keep stacking them up. They do tend to have the layering guide on the back of the package. For the back portion of the card, I had those leftover hearts. Remember when you used to get Valentines as a kid and you would hide them in, your other friends' desks and stuff? So that's what I was doing. I was tucking all the Valentines in the sleeve of the letter behind, and I used the lightest one in the back and then the middle tones, and again the brightest ones are at the front. So I want to highlight the 2 hearts that I'm going to put on the front because they were fading a bit into the panel, and I did kind of a halo in a heart sort of shape with some embossing paste and some of the solar paste, and I'm putting a wee bit of embossing glaze over top of it in those yellows and the pinks that we've got. That gold thread, by the way, is one of the 3-pack from Altenew. I love this stuff. You can sew with it. You can do like little scrunchies underneath your sentiments or underneath the wax seals. I am putting that heart and the top one into spot while that paste is still wet. I've got some glue on there too so that it will set in, because it's harder to glue something down on top of bumpily paste. And so I've just started doing that and letting it dry with the paste. I'm going to jump to the inside of the card, and I'm trying out the stamp wheel that my lovely hubby got me for Christmas. And I finally am able to hang the edge of the card over the outside, because that one side comes off. Is that not phenomenal? And we used the Magnolia Ballerina and the Sulfur Cosmos for the sentiments on the inside. I'm using my typical ombre effect, where I will put either the lightest or the darkest ink down first, brush it out, and then just keep going up through the layers. Accents in the corners were from the Casual Bouquet, and I did those in yellows with a little bit of pink brushed on in the center. Now, of course, because we need some heavy-duty adhesive here, and I got out my ultra sticky tape, and I've got that down on the back, and tippity-tapping it on, didn't do the squash on this one. And here's me infinitesimally trying to decide where I'm going to put the flowers and just hovering them over. And the same with the love U. I did have to put a little bit of the foam tape on the one side of the U because the heart was raised up a bit more. And so then at least this way it was even. And I hemmed and hawed about whether I was going to put that third flower in or not. I kept taking it away, putting it back, taking it away, putting it back. And my intuition just told me, oh, just throw it in. Just, it's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's a handmade card, right? It's still made with a lot of care and love. And I had a lot of fun doing it because I was trying to figure out what Angelique had done with hers. She also had some vellum leaves, so I did mine in white because I had no other green tones through this card. And then I brought in some of the enamel hearts from Altenew because I wanted to, continue the unity of having that heart theme in all the different sizes through this card. And there we are. Okay, so the giveaway, your choice, either the Have Faith or that press plate. I will mail it out to a subscriber that comments below. And this is the finished card, the one that I cased from Angelique. And if you don't know what case means, it means copy and share everything, or create and share everything. You get inspired by someone else's card. So thanks everybody for watching. Go be that change you want to see in the world. Have a fun day in your craft room, and we'll catch you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody.